欢迎来到中文播客，我是 Jessica。
And I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan, 今天我们要来聊什么呢？
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the bicycle sharing system in China.
今天我们要来聊中国的共享单车。
Right. 共享单车. But I don't hear the word bike in that word. Or is it there?
It's there.
Okay, so where is it?
I'll break it down for you. 共享单车，共享 means to share, and 单车 means bike.
Okay, so 单车 means bike. But I've heard other words for bike in China.
Oh, I see. That's why you thought it wasn't there.
Right.
Okay. 单车, you can say 脚踏车, and more commonly used in China, you can say 自行车.
Okay. Could you repeat that word a little slower for us, please?
自行车.
Okay. 自行车. Did I say it right?
Yes, very good.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into our main topic for today. Today, we're going to be talking about the 4 steps that you have to follow in order to rent a bike in China. Let's hear them out. All right, so now let's look at the first step that we have to follow in order to rent a bike in China. So, Jessica, could you tell us what the first step is?
Okay. 你应该先付押金.
Okay. 你应该先付押金.
对，先付押金。
先付押金. All right, so what does 付押金 mean?
付押金, 付 means to pay, and 押金 is like deposit money. So 付押金 just means you have to first pay the deposit money.
Okay, so in this case, we're using 付押金 for bikes, but can we also use this in any other kind of situation?
Yes, you may use this for any kind of deposit money. Like, for example, if you're renting an apartment, you also have to pay the deposit money first. So you can say 付押金, or you can also say 交押金.
Oh, cool. So what's the difference between 付押金 and 交押金?
Okay, so 付 and 交, they both mean to pay. But there's a slight difference. For 交, it's a little bit more informal and colloquial. And for 付押金, the 付, it's more common in written and spoken Chinese.
Well, that's good to know then. All right, so now let's look at the second step that we have to follow in order to rent a bike in China.
好，那我们来复习一下。你应该要先付押金，再充值。
Right, so the next word that we're going to learn is 充值. So what does 充值 mean?
充值 means to add money to a service.
Okay. And I think there's another word in China that we use for 充值. Could you tell us what it is?
对，你可以说充值，也可以说加值。
Oh, perfect. So is there a sentence structure that we can follow if we want to say that I want to add money to my Metro card, or I want to add money to my SIM card or phone card?
OK， 例如你提到的 phone card 手机卡，在这样的句子，你可以说我要给我的手机卡充值或是加值。
Oh, perfect. So I can probably say 我要给我的银行账户充值.
在这种情况可能不太适合。
Oh.
Okay, for your bank, you don't really move your money in and out that much as you would on your Metro card or your phone card. So when you use 充值 and 加值, preferably you should use it for services that are temporary.
Okay, so what would be the word that we would use to deposit money to a bank account?
If you want to talk about depositing money into your bank account, you can say 存款或是存钱.
Oh, perfect. All right, so now let's look at the third step that we have to follow to rent a bike in China.
我们再试一次，你应该先付押金，再充值，然后扫码。
Good. All right, so we already learned how to say first and then in Chinese, which is
先什么什么，再什么什么。
right. But what if we have a third action that we have to talk about?
如果遇到第三个事件，除了你说先什么什么，再什么，你可以加一个然后。
Right, 然后. All right, so 然后呢, what is the third step that we have to follow?
然后你应该要扫码，或者是扫 QR 码。
Right, so you have to scan the QR code. Is there any other way in which we could say QR code in Chinese?
你也可以说二维码。
Awesome. All right, so now let's look at the last step that we have to follow in order to rent a bike in China.
OK， 所以取一台共享单车有4个步骤。我们来复习一次。你应该先付押金，再充值，然后扫码，最后解车锁后取车。
All right, that was a little long, so let's break it down a little.
Okay, so we talk about 先什么什么，再什么什么，然后什么什么。And for the last thing, as the same of lastly, 你可以说最后。
Okay, 最后. All right, so 最后我们应该做什么呢? Like, what should we do?
解车锁后取车。
Okay, so what does 解车锁 mean?
解车锁. Okay, let's break it down. 车 means vehicle or car in general, but here we're talking about the bike that you're renting. Okay, that's 车. And then 锁 means lock, and 解 means to solve something. So when you're saying 解车锁, you mean unlocking the bike lock.
Okay, perfect. What about the second part? 取车, what does that mean?
Okay, so I'm sure you still remember 车, right? Vehicle, bike, just in general. Okay, 取车, 取 means to obtain, means to take something. So I'm sure you want to take your bike, right? Yeah, 所以你要取车.
Right, and just like Jessica mentioned just now, 车 can mean any kind of vehicle. So when you're saying 取车, you're not necessarily only talking about a bike. You might be also talking about your rental car or your rental truck.
Yes.
You know what, Jessica? Something that I noticed growing up in China myself is that I think that's something that's very useful for people who are living in China to know is that they can reserve their bikes on the Mobike app themselves without having to wait until they get to the bike station and realizing that they don't have any bikes to rent anymore. So how can we say to reserve a bike in Chinese?
Okay, to reserve a bike in Chinese, you can say 预约单车.
Okay, 预约单车. So what does 预约 mean?
预约 means to reserve or to make an appointment beforehand.
So you're basically making an appointment with your bicycle in this case.
Yeah, you may say that.
Right, and we can use 预约 like when you want to make a doctor's appointment.
Yes, or if you're booking a restaurant.
Right. You know, another pointer that I wanted to give is that I've noticed that in Chinese, when we have two-syllable verbs like 预约, we usually like to put these verbs with two-syllable nouns. So just to illustrate it, like we usually don't say 预约自行车 or 预约脚踏车. It's not that it's wrong, but I've noticed that most people prefer to say 预约单车 because, well, you have a two-syllable verb and a two-syllable noun, and it sounds better like that.
Yeah. 所以就像我们前面提到的共享单车. In this case, we're just switching the 共享 into 预约, so we call it 预约单车. 我们今天学了好多东西，让我们来复习一下。Let's do a quick review. 今天我们学到租借共享单车的4个步骤。第一，你应该先付押金。
Right, so you have to first pay for the deposit money,
再充值，
and then add money.
然后扫码，
After that, scan the QR code.
最后解车锁取车。
And lastly, you have to unlock the bike lock and grab your bike. And if you want to reserve a bike, you can say,
预约单车。
right. I hope that today's video was useful for you guys. And please remember that if you want to reserve a bike or 预约单车, you can always use the app that I personally use, Mobike.
谢谢你们今天和我们一起收看中文播客。We would love to hear about your experiences on the Chinese bike sharing system. And feel free to leave your stories down below on the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. 我是 Jessica.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.
Chinese pod.